Hey everyone, and welcome back to the movie story. Today, we're doing a recap for the movie The Voyeurs. Spoilers ahead, so watch out. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you can watch more videos like these. Pippa, a young woman, and her boyfriend Tom are the protagonists of our film. They have moved into a new apartment and are enjoying their new living situation. Tom consumes chlorophyll water every night, claiming it is the key to living a longer life. They kiss at the window, where they can see a couple having sex in the front building across the street. Although Tom enjoys spying on the neighbors, Pippa believes it is wrong. They cease spying and retire to their beds. Pippa goes to work the next day with her friend Ari and tells her about the neighbors. Pippa works as an ophthalmologist in an eye clinic. A Japanese co-worker gives her an empty birdcage at work and informs her about its great significance in Japan. Pippa returns home and discovers Tom's chalk picture. They sit near the window to watch the neighbors after she meets him. They call them Margot and Brent to make it easier for them to describe them when they speak. Pippa can't sleep at night and gets out of bed to fetch a drink. While doing so, she notices Margot leaving the house and Brent naked on the window. When she sees the man's body, she gets turned on. Tom works in the music industry as a producer. He sees Brent through the window and recognizes him as a photographer. He has a picture shoot at his house and flirts with a female by touching her butt. Pippa buys binoculars and uses Tom to spy on the neighbors. They notice that Brent is cheating on Margot by putting the morning girl in his place. Pippa turns on the light and hands the binoculars to Tom to keep an eye on them while she gives him a handjob, and the two of them enjoy their new passion. Pippa then takes the binoculars and observes them while Tom is doing it, but Tom finishes fast, leaving Pippa unsatisfied. Pippa can't sleep at night and goes outside to monitor the neighbors. She discovers that Margot has returned home. Pippa feels bad for Margot for falling in love with an unfaithful life partner. Pippa and her boyfriend head to a cafe the next morning to see his sister, Johnny. She informs them about what she saw the night before. Johnny believes Brent is doing this with Margot in a mutually beneficial way. She tells her pals about her brother, who used to be able to use a laser beam to listen in on his crush's chats when he was in college. Pippa is fascinated and asks Tom to explain how that was achieved from a technological standpoint. He explains to her how sound waves can modify the frequency of the beam and how he can receive the beam after it has been reflected with the new changes and convert it to audio at home. Because they need a mirror in their neighbor's flat, they go to a Halloween party there. Brent admires their appearance and photographs them. Pippa manages to attach a mirror to a statue to reflect the laser beam as Tom sees Brent cheating in an orgy in the bathroom. After completing the mission, they return home. They fire the laser at their neighbors, but the reflection escapes them. Pippa wipes away Tom's chalk painting, then collides the wipers, generating a cloud of chalk dust and detecting the reflection. They send it via a converter and can hear what's going on the other side. They may now see and hear their neighbors as if they were watching live television. They hear Margot accuse Brent of being a cheater. Brent deceives her and makes her feel bad about the charge. Pippa has a horrible feeling about Margot and keeps thinking about her at work. When she sees Margot at the clinic, she is taken aback. She approaches her and learns that Margot's real name is Julia and that she is in need of new glasses. Following the assessment, Julia invites Pippa to lunch and obtains her phone number. Meanwhile, Tom is at work when he notices Brent having a picture shoot with a naked black girl. He listens in on their talk and watches them have sex. Pippa tells Tom about Julia late at night. Tom informs her about the black girl, and Pippa wishes to inform Julia about Brent. But Tom requests that she not intervene between them, and he becomes enraged and departs for a walk. Pippa notices Julia in revealing lingerie, attempting to seduce her husband. Sebastian is Brent's real name, and they're married. But Sebastian doesn't feel like having sex tonight, so he leaves her alone in bed. Pippa meets Julia the next day, and the two head to a spa. They learn a lot about each other there. Pippa learns that Julia is having a difficult time with her husband. Seb continues to cheat on Julia with a variety of women as time passes. Pippa continues to spy on her companion and feels awful for her. She links her computer to Julia's wireless printer one night. She informs her that her husband is cheating on her and that a used condom can be found in the bathroom trash can. Seb wakes up and checks on Julia, who acts as if everything is fine. In the meantime, Tom gets up and sees what Pippa is up to with the printer. Julia checks the trash can after going to the bathroom. Tom accuses Peepa of meddling when she discovers the condom, but they notice Julia getting a knife from the kitchen. She then attempts to murder her spouse while he is sleeping. Tom ultimately breaks the binoculars and becomes enraged, wishing he had never gotten this apartment. The next morning, Peepa informs Tom that she's finished spying and they cuddle. But then she notices that Julia has committed suicide by stabbing herself with a knife. Tom breaks down and blames Peepa, then declares that he's had enough of her and breaks up with her. Peepa goes through a period of depression. She is melancholic as she watches Seb drink across the room. He walks over to a nearby tavern, and she follows him. Seb stares at her while drinking alone and walks over to a table to sit with her. He informs her that he used to have sex with other females because it didn't matter in his relationship with Julia, because there weren't any sentiments involved. He invites her to his home for a photo shoot, and she accepts. He asks her to remove her shirt during the photo shoot. She does, and he snaps photos. After that, he asks her to remove her underpants as well. To make things less awkward, he strips down to his underwear and then she does the same. They do a photo shoot, but it leads to them having sex. Meanwhile, Tom returns to his flat and apologizes with flowers. He can't find Peepa there, so he goes to get the chlorophyll water bottle. He begins to dislike its flavor and spills it in the bird's cage. But as he does so, he notices Peepa across the room having sex with Seb. Peepa gets up the next morning and goes to her flat. She notices flowers on the floor, but as she looks up, she discovers Tom has committed himself by hanging himself. She believes it is her fault. She runs into her butter, Ari, one day and tells her the whole incident. Ari assures her that it was not her fault and that she should not take responsibility. Peepa is eager to see Seb again, so she accompanies Ari to his presentation. Seb is taken aback when he sees her. He covered his images on the wall with red drapes till the revelation. He takes the stage to say something, but instead he says he's been working on a project and presents the audience to his partner, whom he introduces as Julia. Peepa is surprised to learn that Julia is still alive. Julia takes the stage to introduce the project, recounting the story of Peepa and Tom, their next-door neighbors who had been watching them for weeks. They were aware that they were being watched the entire time. The photographs on the wall are for Peepa. She's naked in the images because Seb shot them the other night when they were together. And it turns out that Seb and Julia were spying the entire time. Peepa sobs uncontrollably. She dashes to her flat, where she discovers a door in the ceiling. When she opens it, she discovers a room crammed with shooting and surveillance gear. She vents her rage by destroying the room. She wants to move out the next day, so she assists the workers in getting her belongings out. When she goes to get the bird's cage, she discovers chlorophyll water inside. She spills them and looks down, where she discovers a dozen dead poisoned birds. When she looks across the room, she notices Julia waving at her. Later, Julia and Seb appear on TV to discuss the initiative. They both conclude the interview and come to the front door to find a bottle of wine. Julia studies the label on the bottle, which states that it came from the Tate. They're both drinking wine when they hear the printer start up. They go to investigate and discover a piece of paper within. It claims that they assassinated Tom. They notice Peepa through the glass. They pursue her through the streets, and she enters the eye clinic where Peepa works. They corner her there, and she reveals what she has discovered. When Tom drank the poisoned water, he passed out, and Julia hung him with ropes to make it look like he killed himself. Julia tells her she doesn't have any proof and then passes out. Seb begins to pass out as well, and when he realizes that the wine they drank was poisoned, he passes out completely. Peepa burns their Oculus with a laser at the clinic. A new gay couple moved into Peepa's old apartment a few days later. They keep an eye on Julia and Seb at their house and notice that the couple is blind. Meanwhile, Peepa sits on the roof, her binoculars damaged. She observes them from afar, now that she has exacted her vengeance. With that, we've come to an end. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Until next time, bye-bye.